The moon landing, one giant leap or one giant lie? On July 20th, 1969, the world watched in awe as Neil Armstrong took one small step onto the lunar surface. Apollo 11 became a symbol of human ingenuity, a testament to our ability to push the boundaries of what's possible. But even today, decades later, a cloud of suspicion continues to linger around this momentous event. Could it be that the moon landing, a cornerstone of human achievement, was nothing more than an elaborate hoax staged right here on Earth? We're about to embark on a quest for truth, examining the claims, the counter-arguments, and the scientific evidence surrounding this enduring conspiracy theory. Picture this. The year is 1969. We're in the midst of the Cold War, a fierce rivalry with the Soviet Union. Landing on the moon would be the ultimate propaganda victory. Could the pressure to win the space race have driven the United States to fake the whole thing? Conspiracy theorists suggest the moon landing was filmed on a soundstage, directed by Stanley Kubrick. They argue the lighting and shadows seem too perfect. And what about the iconic waving flag? How can a flag flap in the wind on the moon? And those suspicious shadows? Shouldn't parallel lines converge in the distance? Why do some shadows go in different directions? It's enough to make you wonder if someone forgot to turn off a few studio lights. But is this so-called evidence enough to debunk one of humankind's greatest achievements? Not quite. The flag wasn't flapping in the wind, it was designed with a telescoping pole. The strange shadows? A simple matter of perspective on an uneven surface. And as for the advanced film techniques, they didn't exist back then. Faking a moon landing would require hundreds of hours of footage, thousands of photos. The sheer scale of such a deception would be staggering. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence from the Apollo missions is the 842 pounds of moon rocks brought back by the astronauts. These rocks, unlike anything found on Earth, have been studied by scientists worldwide, their unique composition confirming their lunar origin. They tell a story of intense heat, of meteorite impacts, of a celestial body vastly different from our own. Conspiracy theorists, however, remain unconvinced. They suggest that these rocks could be meteorites that landed on Earth, fragments of our own planet flung into space by ancient impacts, or even cleverly manufactured fakes. But let's examine the facts. Lunar meteorites, while they do exist, are incredibly rare. To gather hundreds of pounds of them would be an astronomical feat in itself, far more difficult than actually going to the moon. And while scientists can create artificial rocks in labs, these are easily distinguishable from the real deal. The lunar samples have been examined by countless independent researchers around the world. Are we to believe that all of them are part of this grand conspiracy? It seems highly improbable. The evidence from the moon rocks points overwhelmingly to one conclusion: they came from the moon. Imagine this. You're strapped into a tiny capsule, hurtling through space at tens of thousands of miles per hour. Ahead lies the Van Allen radiation belts, two donut-shaped regions of intense radiation that surround Earth. It's enough to make even the bravest astronaut break a sweat. Conspiracy theorists latch onto these dangerous zones, arguing that the astronauts couldn't have possibly survived the journey through such intense radiation. They claim that the Apollo missions would have been fried like an egg on a summer sidewalk. But here's where things get interesting. While it's true that the Van Allen belts pose a significant radiation hazard, NASA was well aware of this danger. They carefully planned the Apollo trajectories to minimize the time spent within these belts. Think of it like dashing through a rainstorm. You'll get wet, sure, but you won't be drenched to the bone. Moreover, the Apollo spacecraft was equipped with specialized shielding to protect the astronauts from radiation. This wasn't some flimsy tinfoil hat. It was a carefully designed layer of protection that reduced the radiation exposure to a safe level. It's important to remember that space is inherently dangerous, but NASA took calculated risks, relying on science and engineering to overcome these challenges. To suggest that they recklessly sent astronauts on a suicide mission through a radioactive death trap just doesn't hold water. Chapter 4, 1960s. Technology, a giant leap for mankind? Now let's take a trip back in time to the 1960s. The world was a very different place. Computers were massive, clunky machines that took up entire rooms. Your smartphone has more computing power than all of NASA had back then. So how on earth could they have possibly orchestrated such a complex mission with such limited technology? It's a fair question. The technology of the 1960s might seem primitive by today's standards, but it was cutting edge for its time. And more importantly, the brilliant minds at NASA knew how to use it. They relied on slide rules, meticulous calculations, and a whole lot of ingenuity. Imagine building a skyscraper using nothing but hand tools and sheer willpower. That's essentially what NASA accomplished. They didn't have fancy computer graphics or sophisticated simulations. They had to rely on their wits, their training, and their unwavering belief in the mission. And let's not forget the human element. The Apollo program was a massive undertaking, involving thousands of scientists, engineers, technicians, and astronauts, all working tirelessly towards a common goal. This collective effort, this shared dream, is what ultimately made the moon landing possible. Chapter 5. Photographic Faux Pas or Lunar Realities. The photos from the Apollo missions are iconic, etched into our collective memory. But some people look at these images not with awe, but with a skeptical eye, pointing out what they believe to be inconsistencies and anomalies. They question the lack of stars in the background, the odd shadows, the seemingly impossible angles. One of the most common claims is that the lunar lander, weighing several tons, should have left a sizable crater beneath it. Yet in the photos, the ground appears undisturbed. How is this possible? Well, the moon's surface is covered in a fine layer of dust called regolith. This dust, unlike soil on Earth, is incredibly compact. The lunar lander's engine, while powerful, would have blown away this surface dust, revealing the solid ground beneath. Then there's the issue of the missing stars. Shouldn't the lunar sky be ablaze with stars, unobstructed by any atmosphere? The answer lies in the way cameras work. To capture a bright object like the lunar surface or an astronaut in a white spacesuit, you need a fast shutter speed and a small aperture. These settings would prevent the faint light of distant stars from being recorded. What about those strange reflections in the astronauts' visors? Some claim they see stage lights or other suspicious objects, but these reflections are simply artifacts of the curved visor glass and the way light interacts with it. It's easy to take these photos out of context, to scrutinize every detail and find what you're looking for. But when you consider the totality of evidence, the scientific explanations, these supposed anomalies simply don't hold up. Chapter 6. The Silent Astronauts, Bound by Secrecy or Burdened by History. The Apollo astronauts, those who had the privilege of walking on the moon and gazing back at our pale blue dot, returned to Earth as heroes. But some argue that their demeanor was strangely subdued, their accounts lacking the kind of awe and wonder one might expect after such a profound experience. Could this be a sign of guilt? A heavy heart burdened by a monumental lie? Conspiracy theorists point to the lack of public appearances, the reluctance to discuss the mission in detail, as evidence that the astronauts were sworn to secrecy, haunted by the truth they couldn't reveal. But imagine the pressure, the weight of expectation, the constant scrutiny they faced upon their return. These were men who had stared into the abyss of space, who had experienced something truly extraordinary, something that few could even comprehend. Is it any wonder that they might struggle to articulate those feelings, to find words for the indescribable? Furthermore, many astronauts did eventually speak at length about their experiences, sharing their stories with passion and wonder. They wrote books, gave interviews, and dedicated their lives to inspiring future generations. Their silence wasn't a sign of guilt, but a testament to the profound impact of their journey, a journey that transcended words. To assume that these brave individuals, who risked their lives in pursuit of knowledge and exploration, would participate in such a grand deception is not only insulting, but ignores the very essence of their character. They were, and continue to be, pioneers, explorers, and heroes who pushed the boundaries of human achievement. Outro Beyond the Shadows of Doubt. The moon landing, a pivotal moment in human history, continues to spark debate and ignite imaginations. While conspiracy theories may add intrigue to the story, the overwhelming evidence points to one undeniable truth. We went to the moon. The scientific data, the first-hand accounts, the technological advancements born from that era all stand as testament to human ingenuity and our relentless pursuit of the unknown. But the quest for knowledge doesn't end there. There are still countless mysteries to unravel, secrets hidden within the vast expanse of our universe. Join us as we continue to explore the cosmos, to challenge assumptions and to seek out the truth no matter how far it takes us. Don't forget to subscribe to the Secret Organization channel for more mind-bending explorations into the mysteries of our world and beyond. Stay curious, my friends.